All right, guys, I am going to be so quite honest with y'all. I feel a little nervous talking about this subject today because of the intensity of the pushback. I already feel the non-physical before I even publish this video. So I just want to say, if you are watching this video, if you are listening, please, please, please just take everything I say with a grain of salt. And if it resonates with you, it is for you. And if it doesn't resonate at this time, then it's not for you at this time. So, just keeping this in mind. The reason why I'm nervous as well is because, talking about relationships, it's very tender, So to every soul that is watching and listening to this video, it is going to be a very tender conversation. Very tender, but very much necessary. We need the truth. We need the unconditional truth. We need unconditional love in order to heal from lies, from bullshit, from manipulation, from deception, from all the things, right? And so this is part of the reason why I'm here, is to relay that unconditional truth from a place of unconditional love. And this is going to hit a lot of you very deeply. Just like it did for me when I started shifting into my highest vibrational relationship dynamic. And I want to talk about my journey of relationships and just being able to relate to you guys and share from my own life journey, my own upbringing of why I understand your anger, why I understand your hatred, why I understand your resentment. Like, I understand it all, the pain, the grief, just everything that comes with growing up super dysfunctionally. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about each thing for like a certain amount of time because I could really just talk about this stuff for a while. So, come on, honey. Okay. So, let's just start with talking about the journey of relationships. So, we're going to come at this from an ancestral perspective first. That way you guys can have a good starting point of trying to understand this information and where I'm coming from, being on the healed side of it, right? And I don't want to say the healed side. It's the vibration where I'm currently existing at, that I'm currently embodying, okay? And why it's so triggering to others who are vibrating in lower vibrational frequencies and lower vibrational relationship dynamics. So let's just get into it because I have so much to say. Okay, I made a diagram on this whiteboard. So I'm going to be super vulnerable with you guys for a sec. See if I can get adjusted. Okay, I'm just going to like talk to my microphone and show you guys this whiteboard. Okay, so on the left side, I think it's backwards, but it's okay. On the left side, I have my mother's bloodline, which is her mother and her father, okay? Sorry, that's on the right side. Oh my gosh. My left, y'all's right. Okay, and then I wrote down dynamic with a bunch of question marks. Why? Because my grandfather on my mom's side of the family passed away before I was even born. And so I never got to meet him. I have met him in the non-physical in my dreams. So that's been pretty cool, but I never met him. And so I never grew up watching my mother's side of the family's relationship play out between her mom and her dad. So, which brought the world to my mom. And then on the other side, we have my, oh my God, I totally wrote this backwards. Anyways, the other side is my dad's bloodline, which is my grandmother and my grandfather who are still alive. And then I wrote down relationship dynamic. I said stingy provider, but really my grandfather was a mama's boy. So, and they procreated and made my dad. So here we are. I want to talk about why my mom and my dad absorbed the relationship conditionings that they did and why they were attracted to each other. So this is how we meet our karmic I call them karmic soulmates. They are other souls who literally mimic our similar traumas that we went through in our own upbringing, and we see them. And there's this just strong feeling of like, it's either like, I don't know how I know you, but I know you, or you're really familiar. You look really familiar, and I don't know why. And then they just understand everything about you, right? Like, which is not really the case. They understand your dysfunction. They understand your upbringing because they went through the same things too. So why is there such a strong connection between two karmic soulmates? Because you guys are literally mimicking each other's traumas back to each other. You're mimicking each other's familiar. And so what happens is you meet each other, you fall in love, usually really fast, and you're just like, where have you been my whole life? And it's so funny because I can look back and laugh at that now. And after all the pain and suffering that I've been through on my own journey, it's so hilarious to me how, like, at the time, like, that is like all I thought love was. Like, that is what my familiar love was. And now healing myself, doing the energy healing, I'm like, oh my God, that's like everything far from unconditional love. That's everything far from being healthy. And so, anyways, so what happened was my mom and my dad both had parents who had the same relationship dynamics. Okay. So what happens is, because my dad grew up watching his dad be treated like a little boy, basically, in a relationship, and seeing his mom basically be his mother, my dad downloaded programmings, conditionings, cellular codings, belief systems, behavioral patterns. Okay, this is gonna be really triggering, guys. Just to forewarn you if I haven't said that already. And this is why we get so blinded by our traumas, why we get so triggered seeing other higher vibrational relationship dynamics exist out there, because it's triggering these deep wounds that are in our souls. Okay. And I can speak from this. So, anyways, yeah. So moving on. And so my dad just went about in the world seeking out his karmic partner, his karmic soulmate of another soul who reminded him of his dysfunctional upbringing, which was my mom. So what happened was my mom and dad got into a relationship where my mom at the time believed it was normal to, oh my God, I cannot with my cat. Get out. Just go. Jesus. Smokey is like in the mood to play, y'all. Sorry. Um, and so anyway, where was I at? Okay, yeah. So she was under the impression the programming, the nervous system trauma, the nervous system programmings of it's normal to be the provider for a man. It's normal to be the protector in the relationship. It's normal to be his mother, okay? Because that's what I learned in my upbringing from my parents. And so then they get into a relationship, they get married, and then they have me and my twin sister. And so what at the bottom, what I wrote down for their relationship dynamic was mama's boy, inverted polarity. Okay. So what happens is this inverted polarity relationship, okay, my mom takes on the role of embodying the masculine energy and the masculine responsibilities of the relationship, and my dad embodies the feminine aspects of the relationship. And so I'm going to do a little drawing on my little whiteboard really quick to show you guys what's happening on a non-physical level with all of this. This is going to make a lot more sense because everything starts in the non-physical. So that's just facts. Things do not start in the physical, they start in the non-physical. So when you learn to heal the non-physical, then you heal yourself physically and start bettering your life and going from there. So, okay. Now we've covered the ancestral dynamics of it. So let's talk about really quick, colors do I want to use for source? Let's just use black. Okay. just gonna like, this is gonna be so simple. Just because I don't have time to show y'all my elaborate painting and drawing of source energy. So we have feminine, masculine, which branches out, and okay, let's just focus on our universe, our incarnation, this planet, and human beings. So with that being said, human beings, we have women and we have men. So feminine, masculine. Okay, and then in both women and men, we have both of, okay, let's see if I can. Y'all are gonna love my stick figures. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anybody, and I just really want to emphasize this, anybody can connect to source energy. Everybody has that ability. Everybody has that capacity within. It's just a matter of doing it. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I think I need to scoot this way. Okay, so we have source energy. This is the pure life force energy that I teach about in all my videos. This is primary life force energy, the center of the universe. This is what everybody has their own labels about, God, Allah, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same energy, just different labels, okay? And in source energy, there is both feminine and masculine energies. And I think this is what the Mormon churches teach. They call it Father, Mother, God, which is so interesting that they say that. Because I mean, it's like, it's literally true, because it is literally feminine, the divine mother is how I feel her energy. Okay. How I feel that pure life force feminine energy, like she feels like a divine mother. And oh my gosh, the divine father. Ah. I don't resonate calling it Father, Mother, God, because there's like the religious vibration that's attached to it. But the intellectual concept is there, right? So anyway, so interesting. And so anyway, what happens is source branches itself out and allows it to experience itself, because source has its own contracts. So deep, guys. Okay. I'm not even going to go there. And so in this universe, on this planet at this time, we have women and men. Okay. We have women bodies and we have men bodies. These are both expressions of source energy within this universe at this time on this planet. Okay. And women are biologically designed to procreate, to nurture, to channel the energy of abundance through her womb chakras, her womb space. Her energy is designed to work with her physicality, vice versa with men. The divine masculine energy works the best, I would say, in the divine masculine expression of men. Okay. Men are biologically wired to protect, to provide physically, okay, financially. And I'm gonna have to make another video about that, because it's so deep, and I'm gonna explain why 50-50 relationships do not work and why it causes so much dysfunction in women's bodies. Like when I was in 50-50 relationships, my hormones were the worst. I was like the fattest I ever was. Like I gained the most weight. I was at my lowest in frequency because my life force was getting drained. And I'm actually going to teach why the current rhetoric around 50-50, that society, that the matrix pushes, that the deletes push, for a reason to drain women's life force energy. Because what would happen if women were in healthy polarized relationships, channeling the energy of abundance through them? This entire planet would literally be so fucking abundant, it would be like ridiculous. Okay. Just imagine that for a second. Like all the women that, 8 billion plus people here on the planet, okay, if they were all channeling the energy of abundance, and you didn't have to suffer lack, and you didn't suffer in poverty, and you lived the free life that you could live, wouldn't that be so badass? Like, come on, But here we are in this current mess, right? Don't even get me started. So what happens is the women and men naturally polarize on this planet. In this universe, we live in a polarizing universe. So what happens is I need to draw this differently. I'm called to draw this differently. Getting a visual like through my third eye right now. Really need to get an eraser for this whiteboard. Okay. And I'm gonna show you guys something really cool too. So remember how I said we both have feminine and masculine energies, both in women and in men, right? Okay, so smiley face. Oh my God, can y'all hear my cat playing with the toys? They're so hilarious. Okay, so we have femme, masculine energies. Femme, masculine energies. Oh yeah, this is coming through. This is interesting. So, ooh, this might be really triggering, might be touchy, but it's okay. It's okay. The other day I was cooking and so interesting. I had this like download come in. I don't even know why, but for the longest time, I always wondered why certain souls resonated with calling themselves they and them. And I just racked my brain about it. And I'm like, there's got to be something here. Like, if this is showing up in my reality, like, this is happening for a reason and I don't know why. And I'm like, why is it that they don't feel connected like with their body, they don't feel connected with themselves? Like, what is it? Like, is that it or is it something different, you know? And so anyway, I had this download of I thought about source and I thought about source as feminine and masculine energies. And then I thought about like referencing source as like they and how I could see the perspective of source being represented as like they, if that makes sense, because of the energies, like both of the energies being there. Um, but like it just depends on how you look at it. Like if you look at it from that energetic perspective, like you could consider source like a they. Um, but it's like when I had my out of body experience, you know, just the way my soul experienced it was like you couldn't even put that label on it because it was like the highest expression of itself. Like it was just I am that I am. And so then I thought to myself, okay, like I wonder if it's because like, you know, is there this internal conflict going on within where they feel disconnected from their feminine and masculine energies within? And it's like those souls haven't remembered their highest expression of themselves and like that's what they're struggling with. It's like, is that it? Like, is that like the journey of those souls? It's like going back home to yourself, basically, like just knowing that you are, like I am that I am. And it's just, I don't know, it was so deep, but like we all like experience and feel things for a different reason. And it's not a matter of being right or wrong. It's like I said, I will always continue to say that because our journeys are so different. But it helps like with the compassion and empathy and understanding of the other souls who are on different journeys around us. And I don't know, I just like I thought I could bring that non-physical like perspective through and maybe some like understanding of like, you know, maybe that's like their journey right now and that's like why they're experiencing that external like projection, you know, because everything that people externally project is how they feel inside, you know. So anyway, so interesting. Um, I love coming across those people because I'm like, oh, I so hope you like experience source like yourself one day. Like, oh, it's so deep. It's so deep. But anyways, moving on. So I feel like I have to talk about that. But all right. So what happens is when men and or even just like women too, like or men and men, like it doesn't really matter. But when two people get into a relationship, two souls get into a relationship, that's what I should say. Souls. Let me correct myself because I can definitely be wrong too. So when two souls get into a relationship, their energy polarizes. Why? Because we live in a polarizing universe. So I ran my birth chart like I want to say years ago, I think. And my soul is, I think, like 60% feminine is what it was. Like 60% femme, 40% masculine. Which means when my soul leaves this physical body, it leaves this physical incarnation, and I cross over to the other side, and somebody that's still here in this physical dimension, in this physical incarnation, calls my soul in, calls my energy in. You know what they're going to feel? They're going to feel a feminine presence. Okay. Because my soul is majority feminine than masculine. So, with that being said, a healthy polarization with my soul would be another soul who is majority in their masculine. So, let's just do math easy. So, 60% masculine, 40% feminine. Okay. Now, this doesn't like, I feel like this would be very rare. I don't know to happen, but you guys get my drift. So here we go. A majority masculine soul polarizing with a feminine soul. What does that allow in a relationship? Harmony, inner harmony, external harmony. Okay, balanced hormones within both people, within both souls, balanced feminine and masculine energies. And what happens is when a child grows up watching your mom treat your dad like a mama's boy, okay? You're watching her treat him, mother him, because that's what he learned in his dynamics, and that's what she learned in her dynamics, and they just are repeating generational bullshit, okay? What happens is the feminine soul gets inverted polarity. And so the feminine soul now sits in her masculine out of it's like a, what do they call it in psychology, in Western psychology? Hyper independence. Okay. The soul now becomes hyper independent. They don't trust the masculine energies around them whatsoever. They don't feel safe. They don't feel protected. They don't feel provided for, because the one that's getting provided for is the dad in the family dynamic. And so what happens is the child ends up resenting the dad because the dad isn't playing that masculine role that supports a healthy family. Okay. I feel like there's so many different like tangents I could talk about, like to expand on with this conversation, to further like elaborate everything I'm saying, because you can't just fit years of trauma and wisdom in just like a 1 hour video, you know? Which I'm gonna make more videos about this because it's part of my purpose, it's part of my mission. So, okay. We talked about the ancestral dynamics, what we observed in childhood, what we download, what we believe is normal. Okay. And how this plays out in our adult lives, right? So what I did was I went and sought out my normal, which was looking for men who were mama's boys. I was looking for a feminine man. I was looking for a man that was sitting in his wounded feminine energy. Today, like, just disturbs me. Okay. Let's talk about, because I have 15 minutes left. Let's talk about how energy healing completely transformed my relationship dynamics. And I also want to talk about self-reliance. That was something huge coming from the non-physical. It's giving me chills. I'm not sure who that was coming from. What was it? Source. Yeah, source. Okay, so center of the universe itself wanted me to discuss the concept of self-reliance. So this is why a lot of people get triggered. But anyways, energy healing. So, you know, going through sexual abuse in childhood definitely puts you in your masculine energy, because nobody's there to protect you. No one's protecting you. No one's making you feel safe. No one's providing for you. You are alone. You are the one that's having to look out for yourself. Okay. So then go ahead and add on having a mama's boy dad on top of that, a feminine dad, a dad who expects his wife to provide for him and protect him. And he's the receiver in the relationship. Okay. And so the kids are just getting severely neglected and neglected and neglected and abused and just, past the point of no return. And so what happens is those kids grow up in their adult lives and they go out and seek the same relationship dynamic that they grew up watching. I did this. Just basic psychology. We're all gonna date our parents, right? Like that. That's what they said in psychology. And I never knew what that meant until I went through it organically. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what that meant. I don't want to do that again. Like, no. And I thought to myself, after my last relationship where I was with a feminine man, I said, fuck this. I'm done with this. Like, I don't know how, like, I don't know what relationship I want. I don't know what's healthy. I don't know what's normal. So I'm just gonna like do energy healing on myself. I'm gonna focus on me and we're just gonna see what happens. And so this is where energy healing completely shifted me. This is crazy. So I think this all started in the year of 2022, I want to say. Yeah, anyways, I decided in the year of 2023 that I was going to be alone. Like I wasn't going to sleep with any guys, like I wasn't going to date anybody. Like I was like, no, it's just me and I need to learn how to heal myself. I need to learn what it means to become a healthy, functioning, normal adult, right? And not in such a robotic way, but like in the healthiest, highest vibrational way where I can express my inner child, I can express my authenticity, I can be excruciatingly vulnerable. So that way I can experience what a real, authentic, unconditionally loving connection is. Because that is something I recently learned is when you're not being yourself, you're being inauthentic and you're still full of trauma, you're still full of those wounds, you're still full of those nervous system programmings from your childhood and your upbringing, as well as ancestral bullshit to add on top of that. You're never, ever going to experience a real connection with someone. Okay. I don't know why this is coming up. Think about this. Okay. When like it's your first time like initiating sex with a partner and you're like nervous, you're like, oh my God, I hope they're good. I hope I'm good. Like, they're gonna see me. They're gonna see like my entire body. Like, oh my God, I wonder what they're gonna think. And you know what I mean? Like those thoughts that you start thinking in your head. And you're just not yourself. You're not like you. There's no excruciating vulnerability there, like, especially if you went through sexual abuse? I mean, how could you? Like, how could you possibly do that unless you healed it? And um, it's so interesting because I have been single for a very long time now. I've been celibate for a very long time now. And I feel like the next like healthy relationship I get into, like, and I shouldn't even say next healthy relationship. I should probably say like my first healthy relationship. Like, let's be fucking for real. Um, my first healthy relationship, like, it's gonna be really funny to me. Like, I don't know. I feel like I would just like be so giggly, like, oh, I don't know. It's just so funny to think about. But okay, yeah. Anyways, so I decided I was gonna heal my energy, and I didn't know where to start. And I just thought, okay, like I've mastered doing the chakra balancing stuff. I've mastered delving into past life territory. Like, I've mastered hexes, spells, curses, dark entity removals. Like I've mastered all of that. I've mastered Marma point therapy and emotional healing and ancestral healing. I'm like, okay, I've got that down. And so then something nudged me to do feminine and masculine healing. Like a thought popped in of like heal the feminine and masculine energies within. I thought, okay, like I don't really know where to start with that, but let's just see where this goes. And so I was guided to this video of this one spiritual teacher, and she was talking about how it's important to heal the masculine energy within first before doing the feminine. And I was like, why is that? Like, that's weird. I'm like, why start with the masculine? And it wasn't like in a judgmental way. It was like a curiosity, like why the masculine first? And what she said, this is interesting. She said that the masculine energy is meant to hold space for the feminine, to heal, and to basically be the space, the container. And at the time, it didn't make sense to me. I was like, okay, like, what does that even mean? Right? Because when I grew up, I didn't have a healthy masculine figure. Nobody ever held space for me or for my emotions. And so I ended up suppressing them. I ended up emotionally shutting down. I drank myself to death. Like, I just lived a horrible, low vibrational lifestyle. Because I didn't have a relationship with my emotions. Nobody ever held space for me. Nobody had the capacity, the energetic capacity to do that. And so I thought, okay, like let me just try this. And so all this non-physical stuff started coming through. I started healing my masculine energy through the lower chakras, specifically the root and the sacral. And then I was guided to for something else. There was the chakras, and then eventually later down the line, oh yeah, when I worked with Kali Ma, I worked with the aspect Chamunda. And what that aspect of Kali Ma does is she helps you heal your psyche. She helps heal trauma layers in your psyche. And so I could feel them like lifting out of my mind, like when I was working with her. And I was like, whoa, like she was literally removing toxic masculinity programming out of my psyche. And so that was intense. And then just recently, because like, right, this is an ongoing journey, um, I discovered certain planets, like certain yeah, I think it was planets. Yeah, certain planets are masculine energies and they're inside of us. And so anyways, super crazy short story. Um I figured out that we had like a Mars line in our energy, we had a Pluto line, we had Jupiter, I think. I have to look at my journal and like the inner work I did, but oh yeah, we have the sun line. The sun is masculine. I learned that from learning Spanish. In Spanish, they say sol, and in the moon is luna. Like the moon is very feminine and the sun is very masculine. And so then I thought, like, I extracted that knowledge and I thought, okay, well, the sun's masculine. So I wonder if there's like masculine healing in me around the sun. And yeah, there was. And so anyway, I'm gonna break this all down for you guys, so like it makes a lot more sense moving forward, to do the energy healing on yourself. And so, yeah, and then I'm trying to think, was there anything else I did? Nothing else that's coming to mind with the masculine. And so then I came across this other teacher, and she taught the different feminine energies that manifest through the birth chart. There was like Hecate, Kali Ma, Medusa, Eris, like all these different divine feminine archetypes. And I channeled, I said, are those energetic lines existing in me? And I got yes. And I went, okay, I'm going to go through each individual archetype, each individual line, and flush them out. Like I'm going to look for trauma layers. I'm going to look for energetic residue. I'm going to look for programmings, low vibrational programmings. I'm going to look for dark entities that might be there. I'm just going to look for a bunch of shit, right? And I did. And it was like crazy. I was doing the energy healing. I like took that approach to healing my feminine energy that way once my masculine was in a good enough standing to hold space for my feminine. And I think the first thing I did, actually, the first thing I had to do was activate my feminine energy. Like I had to awaken her within me because she was so dormant, because she was so suppressed for so long. And then, yeah, so once I awakened her, that was when I started the feminine healing. And then fast forward to about, I think it was the end of 2022. So I met this other teacher, and she was like, she made this video where she said, okay, if you're ready to shift into your next highest vibrational timelines, this is like what you're going to say. And she like had 4 different mantras. And one of the mantras was, I am ready to shift into my next highest vibrational relationship dynamic. At that point in my life, back in 2022, I didn't know what a generous provider was. I didn't even know what a provider was, period. Um, because of those low vibrational dynamics that I grew up with, right? And anyway, so I kept saying that mantra like every month, every time I did inner work, and I was like, or anytime I intuitively felt called to say it, I said it. And so I just did that for like a year straight. And then yeah, I think that was in the beginning of 2022 actually. And then yeah, at the end of 2022 was when the universe, I now aligned vibrationally with this one girl I saw on TikTok, and her whole her whole business is teaching women how to enter, or no, it was how to become a dream girl so that you can attract men who are providers, generous providers. And I thought to myself, like, I hella resonate, like, becoming like my dream girl, but like, I don't know what a provider is. Like, I still like don't trust the masculine, like, and I don't know why I don't trust the masculine because there's still inner work that I had to do. And so I thought, okay, like, I just had to back away from the information because at the time I wasn't ready to go into a new relationship with any man because I knew I still had inner work to do and I didn't know how to make sense of what was going on inside of me until I did the energy healing work. And so um fast forward to like 2023. 2023 was like the year of like me, of the self, of like that was like the best year to do inner work, to make new changes for yourself. I mean, like it's always good to do that, but like that year was just so concentrated with that energy. And so like that year I got a personal trainer again. I hella invested in my physical routine because I wanted to have a healthy physical routine, like going to the gym and stuff, because it felt good to clear my energy that way. And so anyway, I did that and I made a pact to myself and I said, okay, like I'm not going to date any guys, like I'm not going to be in a relationship with anybody for this entire year because like I did not feel ready whatsoever. Like, you know, my heart was still broken from previous relationships and I was just a mess like internally. You know, I still had a lot of trauma to heal and release and like, you know, that all was my responsibility and it was not a future partner's responsibility to take on and deal with. Like it was mine, all mine, right? So that year, I took radical accountability, radical responsibility within my life. And I thought to myself, okay, let me focus on healing my relationship with myself. How do I become more self-reliant? Okay. Triggering, right? How do you learn how to provide for yourself? How do you learn how to protect yourself? How do you learn how to nurture yourself? I'm like seeing so many orbs in my room. How do you learn how to channel that energy of abundance through you and into your life? Well, you know, if you're having a hard time with receiving abundance, then there's energy work that you need. I needed a lot of work. I got super fucked financially in many past lifetimes and this lifetime, like growing up with a financially abusive grandfather in any way. So um yeah, it's really about developing and healing the relationship with yourself first. Okay. Before you even think about getting into a relationship with anybody else, like that is the first and foremost thing, is how can you learn to do that all by yourself, where you are just like a well-rounded, healthy, functioning individual. Okay. And then I came across information where they talked about, and I say they, like it was two girls. One was this girl in France. I love her so much. I love her bluntness because like I have that too. And so anyway, they were both talking about being with providers, generous providers. Except the one of the girls, she was like, I only want rich, generous providers, and the other girl said, well, I don't really care if he's rich as long as he has the provider mentality, the mindset. And I thought to myself, and I like thought back to my upbringing and childhood. And I thought about, well, you know, my mom was always generous. She was always a generous provider. And I learned to be a generous provider from her. And so then when I came across men who were stingy, I was like, ew, you're a reflection of my fucking dusty grandfather, of my dusty dad. Like, ew, I would never procreate with you, never in my life. Because if I'm over here, and I thought to myself, like, I'm over here with this mentality, with this energy of like being generous, a generous provider within my masculine energy, like, of course, I would want to see that mirrored outside of myself. And it's not a matter of being rich, like that one girl said, it's a matter of the mentality because money comes and goes. Money is energy. And, you know, whether you have $100 in the bank, $10,000 in the bank, or $1 million in the bank, if you're a stingy person, you're a stingy person. And that is not somebody I want to be with at all. You know what I mean? Because, like, okay, say for example, I'm rich and I have $100 million in the bank. And this guy wants to come into my life. He wants to have a relationship with me. And he also has $100 or $100 million in the bank. But his mentality is that he's the receiver in the relationship. No, no. He still has inner work to do. He's not balanced within. His feminine and masculine energies are not healthily polarized within. They're still inverted, okay? The women here on this planet are literally biologically designed to be receivers. I mean, just think about a vagina. Like the vagina receives, it doesn't give. It gives energetically, but not physically. That's the thing, okay? And that, yeah, thank you, whoever said that. So think about women, right? We physically receive and we energetically give. We energetically give the energy of abundance, of creation, of life force. Okay. Men biologically provide and they receive energetically. Okay. Isn't that crazy? So, as they're giving, they are also receiving your life force, your abundance, your creation. Okay. So there is an equal energy exchange going on for sure. Um, which is the biggest thing. And it took me forever to figure out, like, to get my mind wrapped around it because, I was like watching all these women like talk about how they don't do 50-50 and they only date providers. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know what a provider is, but I definitely don't do 50-50 because fuck that. Like, no way. Like, I've already been through that enough. And, it's just not um, realistic. It's not healthy. It's not 100% realistic for good health. And so, anyways, learning that men physically provide and energetically receive, women physically receive and energetically provide. And that is why there is a harmonious inner harmonious relationship dynamic with a male provider who physically protects, physically provides, right? Financially, the structure. Like men are literally the masters of the 3D realm, and women are the masters of the non-physical realm, which is why there's so much unlimited abundance that they tap into, that they can tap into, and why also women are amplifiers. And so that was one thing I organically learned in my previous relationships was I was amplifying back to the men their traumas and everything else that they didn't want to look at, that they didn't see, and they hated it. They hated looking at it. They didn't want to deal with it. They would run from it. And like my energy would amplify that. They didn't have any good, healthy systems for their money, that they kept remanifesting debt because of their trauma. Because here's the thing is mama's boys who give their moms money will continue to perpetuate staying broke because they're perpetuating that trauma cycle, that trauma bond, that trauma loop. And until they exit it, like they're not going to be successful, like with money whatsoever. And I remember having that conversation with my ex, and he was like, "Oh my God, like you're right. Like you're right, and I don't know what to do about it." Like, and I was like, "That's a you problem, baby. Not me. You're gonna have to learn that one on your own." But yeah, and I got to the point of saying I am ready to shift into my highest vibrational relationship dynamics moving forward. And so now I am vibrationally aligned to being in a provider relationship dynamic where the man provides financially and physically, and I provide spiritually and in the feminine way. Okay. I nurture. I channel the unlimited energy of abundance, which means if I start sleeping with a provider, like a generous provider, if he's making like $10,000, he's going to be moving up in levels of financial abundance because he is giving to the portal. He is amplifying his own income. He's amplifying his money through me and through my energy. And I already channeled this. It's giving me chills. I channeled, I said, I can't remember who I asked, if it was like my higher self or source, but I was um, like, what is like the highest capacity of like financial levels of like a man like sleeping with me in the future, and like I got like billionaire, like trillionaire status. Like if I literally like start sleeping with a man who is a generous provider and he funds like my energy financially, like he provides financially, he invests in me, okay, he invests in providing and supporting me and my self-care. What happens on a non-physical level is this unlimited abundance energy comes out of me, and it gets absorbed. This is like so deep. Gets absorbed into his energy, his divine rod, right? His penis, because there's an energy exchange that happens in relationships and in sex. And when I heard about that information, I didn't understand it at the time. I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean energy exchange? But now I understand it 100%. And he would literally just be siphoning. Men naturally harvest our feminine energy. And so he would be siphoning my life force energy. He would be siphoning that energy channel of unlimited abundance. And so his finances are going to be taken to next levels. He is going to start getting subconscious seeds planted in his mind and in his energy of new ideas to pursue, new things to take on. There's going to be energetic connections made in his life where it's going to physically replicate his finances going to next levels. Okay. And this is why, this is one of the reasons why a lot of broke, and I'm going to say broke women and men, okay, because it's both. It's not just broke men, it's both broke women and men get so triggered seeing that relationship dynamic because neither parties are self-reliant. They don't love themselves. They, are most likely not their authentic selves. And so, there's no real connection happening in their relationships. I know that because I've been there. I was there. So I totally understand it. And this is not to like um shit on anybody or anything. It's just shedding light on, hey, I was exactly where you were years ago, and this is how you're going to get out of it. Okay, this is how you're going to like drastically transform and shift your own relationship reality and own reality just in general. And I'm going to talk about the energy healing it takes to start to feel safe to receiving and being in your feminine energy in the first place, because that was like a huge thing for me, which was I was like, I don't know how to accept this help. Like I've been doing this on my own for so long. Like I don't want your money. I don't want your help, which was like my energy. That was my wounded masculine energy refusing to like move into my feminine, to be supported and to allow myself to receive and allow that connection to take place. But anyways, I'm going to cut it here because there's a lot I could say about this. And I know this is going to be a really intense conversation and a really hot topic, but it's very necessary. And I'm going to create further videos on how to start this energy healing and how you're going to take your power back and harmonize those feminine, masculine energies within. So thank you so much for being here. I love you guys so much. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Bye for now.